the Lego Christmas ornament book was actually just kind of a spur of the moment checkout for my public library. I had gotten the Lego Holidays idea book, and this just kind of popped up as a suggestion. So I thought, why not check it out? Just look at it and see what it's like. Can't hurt. And I'm really glad I did, because while the Lego Holiday Ideas book was okay, I really love this book. And it's not so much for the ornaments. There's like 15 designs for ornaments, but it's not the ornaments themselves, but the build techniques that this book teaches you. So this guy, Chris Mcveigh, very creative Lego builder. So I really recommend this book just for the building ideas and techniques he gives you. And here you kind of see the beautiful ornaments that he has created. And this book came out in 2016, and it's not a Lego book, so he produced it himself, not with like being through Lego. So these are all his ideas, which is very impressive. So I really do recommend that. I like to encourage, supporting those artists. But the first thing is a poinsettia, and I think this is a very great, it's a traditional holiday plant, but I've always had dogs, so I never get them in my house because they're poisonous to animals. So it's kind of fun to actually build it out of Legos. And here, it's a very simple design. You kind of see how the whole setup is. The first page is going to be the pieces that you need, which I love. A lot of books kind of forget that. These are the pieces you need, how many you need. Here's the ID number, so you can find the piece you need. And then you've got some simple build techniques. Now here you see, it's not like just snapping on. It's like you put those studs on the anti-stud and you turn it 36 degrees. And then the next step, you just repeat it over and over and over until you get that nice little poinsettia star look. And on top of that, we put our tile pieces. And then he shows you the back where you can kind of put it together and hang up. And so that's like this. It's very simple builds. They're broken down and very easy to follow. We've got our snowflake design, the pieces you need. Again, now we're only turning it 30 degrees, even though they're using this corner plate and the 2x2 plate. So rather than 36 degrees, 30 degrees. So very accurate, very descriptive, very easy to follow along if you want to build any of these designs around Christmas to decorate your tree or your house. We've got a wreath. This is a pretty common build. I haven't seen this particular build, but I've seen lots of different wreaths, and they're always fun to little build. But here you have another 36 degree kind of tilt until you get that whole design, the circle. How you connect it. I think a lot of people wonder, like, well, how do you get that on there? And how do I hang it? But here you kind of shows you the different ways you can hang these ornaments and create little hooks. And we got presents, and now this is where like the interesting techniques come in. Pieces you need, kind of how you put them in. But here you'll notice like he puts this on this very large kind of 2x10 piece, 2, 4, 6, 8 piece, 2x8 piece, and we're putting those bricks together. You put it on this curved plate here, kind of building the side, building it up, turn it around. But here's where it's interesting. So after you've kind of put this together and it's stable, you take those sides off. So you put them on to kind of create it being stable, to get them all lined up perfectly, but then you take them off, and then you build the sides individually, and then put them back on. And I love that. It's so simple of an idea, but I never do that, where you can, now he's taking these 2x8 plates off because it's secured on those sides, and he's putting the other side of the present on. So he kind of uses those pieces to stabilize it as he builds. And that's just a technique I've never used. And so to me, that was like genius. I love it. And again, we have a different way to kind of attach a string to it. This time it's rather than having a string piece, we've got a hole to put a string through, and a Christmas tree. I love this Christmas tree idea. There's so many different Christmas tree designs, but I love the way this kind of slopes down to give that coned Christmas tree look. So I really love this design and how he does it. You need a very long pin piece to put it together though, and I've got that one because of my Harry Potter wand, but you probably won't get that piece too often. This is interesting. This piece here with the claws on it, I have never seen that piece. So if there's any downside of this book, is some of the pieces you use are not very common, and that's the only downside of this book, is he does use a lot of uncommon pieces, which I think is a shame, because it's better when you can use the pieces that we all have to put these things together. But here you can kind of see how he puts in the clip and then slides it down to get that sloped coned effect for his Christmas tree. And you got 2 layers. You got the bottom layer, and now we're putting the top layer on to make it more solid looking, kind of highlight where those pieces are going. So very clear directions, which is nice. A lot of times you don't get those clear directions in the book. Some presents, which I think we've seen a lot of, and how you can kind of change it to a gingerbread tree or a snow-covered tree. We've got our gingerbread house. And again, I think here's all the pieces you need. And gingerbread houses, I think we've seen a lot of these different designs, but this is kind of his take on it and how he would make it, which is fun because there's just so many different ways to build it. And here's how he does his roof, which I think is a really good technique. I've seen this before, but it's nice to kind of see it used. And we're putting on the sides of the roof of the house. We're just kind of building that up. I'm sorry, that's the house itself, the side of the house. And soon we're going to get the roof. You can see how it comes together. And now we're building the roof. I skipped ahead there. You can kind of see underneath how it's going to be built underneath and attached, so you get the innards of how it's going to work. And the ornaments. Here's another thing where I just really love the build techniques, because making a round Lego object is very difficult, and especially doing it well, but he does it. But again, we have this piece here, this 4502595. Again, this is a piece I don't see very often. So you're gonna have to buy some special pieces from Bricklinks to put these things together, but they do exist, and I've seen them, just not that often. But I love the way he kind of builds that spine to create the rounded ornament, the oval ornament. So just a really cool, you can see how you're putting the anti-stud into the top of the technique, and then just use the different colors and ways it can look different even though you're doing the same technique. And again, now we went from like an oval to a ball here, and it's very similar. The ball is very similar to the oval. It's just a little shorter, but still very cool building techniques, which I had never thought of and never seen. So that's really why I recommend this book, is because you get these great building ideas. Not so much for the actual ornaments that are being built, which is one of the downsides of these books, is that you see these ornaments and you're like, okay, I'll just build it and whatever. But this book actually gives you the techniques involved to create that. And put this piece here because in the back, now you've got this little. Here's that little very large pin with that kind of piece. You see it all comes together. And this kind of little cool thing with those slopes, those little 1x1 slopes. And these are all very similar. Like once you see his technique, you're gonna get an idea of how to do those different balls. It's just kind of how to do the different sides. You got the lantern. But again, we're gonna get very simple. He loves using these pieces, which are fun because those like 1x2 bricks with studs on both sides. Again, here we have, like, you build it and then you take those sides off to create the sides, but you have to get the pieces stable first. And again, it's just weird how you've been building for so long, and then just that one other idea opens up a whole new world. And now here's another really cool thing I like is we're getting to like different types of ornaments. Like, you go to Hallmark and you buy all those different themed ornaments, but here you get to see how to build these things. And so I wouldn't use this as an ornament. I just like to build a video game console, and it kind of shows you how you can make a really cool video game console that you could use in a mock if you wanted to build an arcade. It's just a really great design with how he puts it together. And then a computer, again, if you want to build a kind of like a little home office mock, you can use this to build a computer, an old school computer, before we want desktops and on our phones. But you can see the insides of that computer that he's building. Again, they're using it for a ornament, so they have those little hooks on it, but you don't need to do that when you build your computer if you wanted to. And again, these are really cool. And then the camera, old school camera, I love this design. Even the thing you use to hold onto the tree, the little web here, that's Spider-Man webs I would use it for, but it could obviously be the strap of the neck strap, putting these old school cameras around your neck. But I love how he builds the lens in particular of this camera by using the, when we get there, you'll see it like, it's got the body here. There's the flash that you put on top. But here it's just using the wheel and the flick fire missile piece to create the camera lens. I thought was really cool. And then burger. Burgers are always fun, especially like if you're building like a little burger joint, to put them on as like the sign. And there's been lots of different designs for those. And that is the end. So again, there's not very many Christmas ornaments in this book, but the building techniques used is what really makes it worth getting this book for your own collection, because it kind of teaches you how to build other things. And I think that's one of the most important things a book can do, because you just want to build an item, just look it up online.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe or check out some of our other videos. Until next time, let's keep building together.